Okay, it's a good evening here in Brisbane, Queensland. It's just gone past 7 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning in the UK, 9 o'clock at night in New Zealand. So it's a good evening and a good morning. And the reason we're doing this live show tonight, Monday night, is none other than a good friend of mine who I met some 5 years ago over in a place called Payton in Devon, which is, if you drive into this place called Payton, it says welcome to the Gold Coast. And it's a shock to the system to realise that Queensland's Gold Coast is something completely different to the Gold Coast on Devon. And it's there that I met this young lady, and I was along with my mate, and she proceeded to do a demonstration of clairvoyance and mediumship, and Rob and I sort of snuck in at the rear of this hall, and this lady came to me, and I'm at the rear of the hall, and she said, I'd like to come to the gentleman at the back there. You're not from here, not from this part of the world. And I just looked at my mate, and I thought, no, we're aliens, we're extraterrestrials. And then she said, no, you're from down south, can you speak up? And of course I did speak up, and everybody cracked up laughing because I didn't have that southwest accent that comes from the UK. So from there, it was a cup of tea time, and it's been a long time mateship, friendship, and she comes with her husband, Phil. So Phil's, he's their minder. It's a bit like the TV show Minder. Terry, yeah. And he looks after, and we've got to, it's been fantastic. We've been going around southeast Queensland for the last 4 years, and this year is almost like the farmers leaving the fields fallow, so that next year will be even better. And of course, we all know the circumstances at the moment. So Gail's come on board to virtually do virtual classes and demonstrations through modern technology. And that's the reason we've got her on. So instead of coming out in Australia in October and paying for all those airfares and getting the business visa, and even though we miss them physically, it's new technology like we've got. It's just amazing. And her husband Phil's fantastic. You know, we get on really well. We both support Manchester United. That's the stepping stone for a great friendship, mateship. And we just leave Gail to do the workshops, and we go off and we do our tiki tours. So it's really been fantastic. So now for those people in the UK, and you might see the background to my presentation here, that I was just explaining to Gail off here, that's Willapina Pound. If you want to have a look at it on your Google Maps, it's in South Australia. It's an amazing story. Look it up, and you'll find you're going to make it one of your things on the bucket list, along with making a trip down the 303 to go and see Stonehenge. Although today I've been told they've got cameras in there and you can actually see them online. So it's all happening live, and that's the reason we've got Gail on tonight. And we're going to make it a question and answer time. So it's the old story, keep them questions rolling, and Gail will respond. Now you'll find that we're streaming on Facebook through Radio FM 88 Australia, and we're dealing through Gail's Facebook site. And for those who are listening to the radio, obviously here in south part of Brisbane, northern part of Gold Coast, welcome to the show. And if you want to, you can just click onto the radio station website, and you can listen to the audio, or you can download the app later on. But meanwhile, big introduction, I have to say. I didn't expect that, but welcome, Gail Riding.
Thank you, Jeff. There's just a couple of things I wanted to say there, really, because it was absolutely lovely listening to your introduction. But it was that thing of the current circumstances that's going on. And like Jeff said, for the last 5 years, we've been going over to Australia, usually in October, and touring around the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast. Last year, we did Adelaide. And it's been very, very popular, and it's been wonderful. But the one thing I've constantly had when I've gone over there is people saying to me, it's all right, you coming, Gail, but it's quite expensive trying to get everything in or condense it in. But then we've got nothing to the following year. And I've had this in Spain, I have it in Germany, I have it most places where I go. So, of course, this year, when suddenly the pandemic, boom, rounded, couldn't go anywhere. And my first reaction to that was, I'm going to go stir crazy. I'm going to go absolutely insane. But then I sat and had another think about that. And I don't know if you can see behind me there, that's the summer house. My children bought me that for my 60th. And that's where I sit and I meditate most days. And it was during one of those meditations that it suddenly appeared to me, if you like, that for all these years I've been doing workshops, I always do at the start of it a channeled meditation. And people have always said to me, Gail, can we get hold of them? Can you tape them? Can we buy CDs? And for years I've always said no. Because for me, it was all the hassle of the copyrights and everything else and recording studios. So I kind of talked myself out of it before I put myself into it. So, of course, Spirit being Spirit, they come in and they said, okay, you're here. You have nothing better to do. So how about start taping some of those meditations? And that was where it started. The first meditation I did was the chakras in the Tree of Life. And at the time I was doing the meditation, I was just putting it out there. It was an absolute nightmare. I'd never done recording before. I'd never done editing before. I'd never done producing before. And it was like climbing Mount Everest 10 times over. But eventually we got it out there. And then again, Spirit come in and said, okay, there's the basis of your first class. And I thought, what first class? And they said, your classes, your circle. And I thought, am I going to do that? And it didn't take very long before it all started to amalgamate together. I thought, I'm here, I'm stranded for 12 weeks, I'm in isolation because of medical conditions, and people are out there that want to learn. People are out there that can't get out. So if I can't get out and they can't get out, what can we do to take it into the house? And that was where these classes come about at. The other thing as well that was very prevalent to me was the costing of them. I know when I started in my development, I was fairly fortunate. I had a reasonable job in the prison service. And I used to save, I used to do the overtime, I used to do the bed watches, and all that money would go together to pay for my development, which was quite expensive and quite long-winded, if you like. But I was very conscious of the fact not everybody's got that, not everybody can do that. And I've been there myself. We've got 5 children, and there's many a time I couldn't put together the cost of a circle at a church, never mind put together the cost of a week's residential course. So that was where the funding come about as well. So it's all come on now where I do 4 classes a month of psychic, 4 classes a month of mediumship. That's 8 classes a month. And the cost is £30. It's less than a cup of coffee. And if I'm perfectly honest with you, it's cost me more than that in the first month to produce it. By the time you bought your mics and you bought different programs and you've had to get the Vimo and different things. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But what has been better is the response we've had from the students. Phenomenal responses. And because now we're just starting the 6th week, we've been able to send out to them and say, what is your feedback? What do you like? What don't you like? What would you like more of? And the feedback has been excellent because it is quite unique. We do the live classes, they're recorded, they go onto my website. You've got a full week to go in there as many times as you like. We set up to dedicated pages on Facebook, one for the mediumship, one for the psychic. All the members get onto that. And I have to say, thumbs up to them. I'm so impressed with them because they get together in groups, they get together in twos, they send me out all the things that they've done. And I feel like a proud mum, to be honest. I'm puking around saying, my God, look how far they've come. And when you see the shock on their faces, it really is very, very, for me, self-satisfying. I've had feedback that said, Gail, you know, we've done these before. We've done these courses and they've done chakras and they've done auragraphs and they've done this. And we thought, well, go on, in for a penny, in for a pound. We'll chance it. But here is one feedback I had, and I have to say, it brought me to tears. And that says something for me because I am known that I don't do sympathy. I'm pretty good at empathy, but I'm not the best at sympathy. And this was on the 15th of April. And it says, Gail, over the years, I have been doing a few groups, and they all start off with chakras, auras, and meditation. And this class was no different in that respect. But wow, I soon found this class to be so much more fun. Gail's style of teaching is awesome. I love the way she introduces different tools such as ribbons, symbols, drawings, and auragraphs. To know the history was very interesting too. They play a big part of each class, and I thought this was a lovely touch. I could listen to Gail's smoothing voice all day. I don't think my husband would agree with you on that, and I know my children definitely wouldn't agree with you on that, but I'll take it. We have to take every compliment that we get. But I could just listen to that all day in her meditations. I have not just learned a lot, I have also met some lovely folk. The Facebook pages are so helpful for arranging with others to buddy up and practice, as long as time loans match. And that's another thing. We have students from Australia, from the UK, from Belgium, from Sweden, and we've got one over in Singapore. And I'm not going to read the rest of that, but it goes on in the same vein. And that is a wonderful thing. We put them out live. I've got to get myself up in the morning. I've got to try and make myself look at least half human, because they go out in the UK at 10:30 in the morning. And that is 7:30 at night in Australia. I've just learned now that it's 9 o'clock in New Zealand. It's lunchtime in Singapore.
9:30. Yeah, that too.
That's my timekeeping for you.
That's right.
But what happens if people can get on live, it's brilliant because they can interact. And we have PowerPoints. I really do. It fills my week because I'm forever researching. And that's why I love teaching, because when I'm teaching, I'm learning. And then on there, we will do the PowerPoints. We will do the meditation. We will do an affirmation or a prayer at the start of it. And then we'll do a little bit of group work. I try my best to get into every single one of those classes in those little segments there. I love it. We've got Tina and she always says, oh, she's watching me again. We've got other people that are so involved they don't even see it. But it gives me that opportunity to watch them work. And now and again, they might need a little bit of an encouragement or a little bit of a push or just a little bit sometimes of just saying, go on, you can do it. And then at the end, if we've got time, I will feed back on that. So it's kind of evolving as it goes, and it's just getting better and better and better. In the first month, we covered chakras, auras, auragraphs, ribbons, and we looked at pendulums as well. So that was lovely. We were giving them all the different tools. And when people have got tools, it's a bit like children with toys. They're not just things we play with. They are things that we are inspired by. That opens our imagination. That takes that onus from being it you onto something else. So it just enables you to be more relaxed with your learning. With the mediumship, again, I'm a big one with the mediumship because people don't always acknowledge the responsibility that comes with that role. You're working with a lot of vulnerable people. And I did nearly 24 years in the prison service. And believe me, during that time, you met a lot of people that have had a lot of issues through their life. And I found it quite sad that a lot of people, they're born mediums, but they was just in the wrong environment or brought up in the wrong place. And they've either grown to be frightened of it or not have an understanding of it, or just that's their thing of which was my big fear, you're weird. I think I spent nearly 30 years denying my mediumship. 30 years of denying it. Up until 10, 11, 12, I embraced it because I knew nothing different. But from being 12 to 40, 42, I did everything to ignore it. I did everything to push it out there, just not to have anything to do with it. But spirit are really, really good. They've got a phenomenal way of working with you and just being there because they don't ask to be acknowledged. They really don't. And I could reel off to you story after story after story after story connected with the prison service where they've come in and they've helped in a situation or alerted me of a situation that has saved something tragic happening. And before that as well, in if you like, my normal life, they have always been there. And it wasn't until I got to mid-40s that I thought, you know what, I can't deny this anymore. It's a massive part of who I am. So if I'm not going to deny it, I need to understand it. And it was then that I started to do my development. And in the UK, we are so fortunate. We really are. We've got the highest population of churches, and we have a phenomenal college over here, but owned by the SNU, and that is the Arthur Findlay College. I could natter on to you for hours about the history of that and the magicality of that building and the support that you get there and the tutors. But I was lucky over here. And then once I'd learned what it was about, all my life I've done tutoring and teaching. Not particularly wanted to, but I've always kind of fell into that role. And that seemed to be the natural progression going forward. So I did all my certifications, my CSNUs in demonstrating, teaching, and in the evidence side of it as well. And I have to say, I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's what I do now. I dictate an awful lot of my time into teaching, tutoring, mentoring. And the biggest one for me is to bring out that part of you that is the essence of you. And even if you're not interested in mediumship, and you're not interested in psychic, that's fine, not a problem. But at least have an interest in the essence of whom you are, because we're all spirit. And by working with spirit, embracing spirit, acknowledging spirit, it really does help us in our lives. It helps us through the very difficult part of our lives, and it inspires us in the better times of our lives. So I know I've waffled on there a little bit.
No, it's okay, because I'm sure there's a few people there who've been listening would have thought the anagram SNU, and then you mentioned Arthur Findlay College. So what do those three letters SNU stand for?
Okay, that's the Spiritualist National Union. And spiritualism is a religion. It wasn't my religion at first. I was very, I'd been brought up in a very strict religious background. But it is a religion, and it's a recognized religion, and it was the 8th largest one in the UK, and they're expanding all the time. And it's wonderful now that they are also a part of the cultural multi-faith as well. So it's quite nice there that they've got a look in, and that they've got a voice, and also they're going into schools. So the Spiritualist National Union, they was given Stansted Hall by a beautiful man called Arthur Findlay. And I say the history is there, you can read it. But going back to that, it gives us a great background where we have the churches, we've got the educational system now, and we've got the colleges. And they put that out because they have it international, and you can get hold of it on the internet, and it's a very, very reasonable price, and I can't advocate it enough. But for me, it is getting out there on the ground, opening it up, and enabling people to understand their mediumship and to understand themselves.
Yeah, but the reason I brought you out to Australia is the fact that it's raising the what would you call it, qualifications, the wisdom, the knowledge and understanding. And mind you, for one of the workshop classes, $150 thereabouts for a day. Mm-hmm. For someone to actually pack up, get an air ticket, return, go over to the UK, and then arrive up in Manchester and do a workshop at your place and have accommodation and food and all that stuff. I mean, there's $5,000 Australian just gone out the window.
It is.
And $150 for 1 day workshop, or 3-day workshop, it's $450. So there's some advantages of having you here in Australia, because people can touch you and feel you and smell you and know that you're fair dingham, Reggie Didge. Yeah.
There's a lot of advantages, and I do have to say here as well that the SNU, I've already said, they do online, and it's out there. But what I find is when people can actually sit with a tutor or sit with a mentor, and they're there with them in person, it's always going to be more qualitative. It's always going to have that more interception there and be more personal. But internet, that has its place as well, especially nowadays. And I know when I come over there, we try and keep it as reasonable as possible, but I have to touch on that, because if I come over there, my husband has to come with me. That is for social reasons and for health reasons as well. So by the time you pay for the 2 flights over there, that is quite substantial in itself. To enable us to get a permit to work over there, the permit for the working is quite expensive. But again, because we've got medical needs, if you like, or we've got pre-existing conditions, we have to have medicals as well to enable us to get that. So that has got a cost as well. And then everything else, by the time you're up, you're talking a lot of money before you get off a plane. And I know all the times I've come over there, I've been very, very lucky, because they've been popular enough to cover the costs of everything. And I don't make a fortune out of it, I really don't. But at the end of the day, it is my living. But we love it. And I know there's more and more and more and more now of the mediums and tutors coming over. And the big one for me here is it isn't just as easy as making a connection with somebody and just giving a message. You have to know who that person is. And the person that you're working with has to know that. And yeah, it's nice when we give generic descriptions, they're 5'6", 5'7", got brown hair, got blue eyes. But that generic can go with so many people. So it's learning to be able to blend so closely with the spirit world that you have the very essence of them, their characteristics, their personality, their thought processes, and sometimes even their linguistics. And it just never ceases to amaze me. And that is what I love about it, the intelligence of it. Mediumship to me now is a massive part of my life. And I do. I put an awful lot of time out there, a lot of energy out there to make people aware of that. And if you do want to be a medium and you want to train to be a medium, then you need to know the legalities of it. You need to know the morals of it. You need to know the responsibility of it, because it's not just as simple as getting up there and giving. You have to be able to have the very essence and the respect for the spirit world and for the person that you're working with. And I know when I receive a message of somebody, it is sometimes the little things that just seal it for me. And I love it. Even after all these years, my mother's been in the spirit world now longer than what she was actually with me. She was only 48 when she passed. But even now, when I have that connection or I get those messages, it reminds me of her life. It makes that connection, that feeling that we're not actually alone. They are always around us. They are always there.
Now then, I've just put up there a little promo. It's a class. It's on a Wednesday night. So the synchronicity is that here in Queensland, it's 7:30, and obviously in the UK, it's 10:30 in the morning. And it started last week. And so you can actually come on Wednesday night, and because of all the prior notes from Wednesday, you can get on board pretty quickly. And it's just not, the statement there is for the role, purpose, and functionality of angels, but mate, you drill down, you go deeper and deeper all the time. It's not just a 2-hour little lecture workshop. This is just endless, isn't it? The functionality of what these characters do.
Well, this is the 6th week now. So last week was our 5th week, and that started a new section, if you like. The first 4 weeks was all about the energies, the chakras, the auras, and then last week we started on the angels. And a lot of people work with angel cards. Angels are recognized more or less with every religion throughout the world, and that's the messengers, the protectors, the guardians. So I thought, okay, we're going to work with this, and we really need to understand. We need to understand the hierarchy of the angels and the 9 different types of angels that are there. So that was what we started on last week, and we started with the angel cards. And it was really, I found it something very special, because then it's unique times. And when we was announcing the week before that we'll be starting on angels the following week, and we will be using angel cards, majority of the students had got angel cards, but we have got a few that haven't got any. And it's not that simple now, especially in the UK. You can't just nip out to the shops, because most of the shops are shut. And it's all right ordering one online, but which ones do you order or not? So one of the students come in and said, Gail, is it possible I can make my own pack? I've cut out these pictures of angels, and I was just thinking about that. And as it come in, again, poof, spirit come in. And I said, wow, what a unique opportunity. So that is what we put out to all the students. You know, send me your favorite pictures of angels, or your photograph of your favorite angel cards. And I want you to sit and meditate on them just for a couple of minutes and see what inspiration you get, words or affirmations. And the students was absolutely brilliant. You know, they all jumped on. So again, sometimes you wish you hadn't volunteered something, because it took me absolutely hours cutting and pasting, and trying to get them all in a uniform size and everything else. But long story short, we got a deck of 44 cards, which was unique. And we sent it out to everybody. Some people could print off, other people hadn't got printers. So we said, well, just put them up there on your screen, get 44 pieces of paper, just write the appropriate number on it and whatever word or affirmation. And it's an experiment. We'll see how we'll work with it. And I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. In fact, the class nearly overrun by an hour because we'd started wanting everybody to have an opportunity to work. And everybody was so enthused and so motivated that I thought, well, if they're willing to say it, I'm willing to be. So the full class, there was only one that didn't have the opportunity, because unfortunately she had to go away somewhere else. And they all did absolutely brilliantly. And it was the feedback after. It says, wow, whoa, didn't think I could get that. Wow, they were so accurate, they were so this. But it was an opportunity, a unique opportunity to say, look, you know, these are, nobody else has worked with them. Nobody understands the meaning of them. We're all starting on the same level field here and putting it out there. And it really was a brilliant class exercise. So from that, I give out snippets of information about different angels. And that is what this week is about. we're looking at the 9 choirs of angels and which ones are within each group and how they interact with us and how they interact with the universe and everything else. So that is very much what this week says. And the meditation on that, I was sat doing it last night and I was away. I had to bring myself back again to kind of finish it off. This is sitting with our guardian angel and invoking different angels to come in. Next week, we're looking at the archangels, and then the 4th week again, I'll be putting it all together. So that is how it's evolving and going. It's all about the knowledge, the information, having the mechanics, and having a true understanding of what it is that we're working with and the energies that we live with and within.
Now then. No time for a cuppa, isn't it? Didn't I see you come with the English? You got that?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bell here to ring the bell. Yeah.
Hudson, down. Oh no, upstairs, downstairs. Hudson, get over here. Right. So Wednesday night. So okay. So you mentioned £30. So the £30 is that for? Is that for one night or is that for 4 weeks? How does that work?
No, it's £30 per calendar month.
£30 per calendar month.
Work it out. You're roughly getting about 8 1/4 lessons for that. I think it works out at. So for that £30, you're going to get 4 mediumship development and you're going to get 4 psychic development. If you're only interested in one, and we have had 1 or 2 that have only come on for the psychic or the mediumship, but I have to be honest, 99.9% of them have said, you know what, Gail, I'll come in for the 2. And the wonderful thing is here, it isn't just the classes that are going out. I've already said to you that they're there in actual fact, they're there for 2 weeks. So they're on one page for a week where you can go and watch it as many times as you like. And then the week before is on another page as well. So if somebody was to actually enroll today and say, okay, Gail, I'm going to come and do your course. Today's Monday. So they've got 2 days to wait till their first class. But they can go on my site today and see last week's class of psychic and last week's class of mediumship and the week before of psychic and mediumship. So they could actually have the full of that of the angel course that's gone out so far. They also get them where we invite them to the support pages. And they are brilliant because they're so eager to work. And I love it, because people are talking to people and say, yeah, but that's like 2 o'clock in the morning here. Whoops. Okay, then what time can we arrange? And the friendships that are forming there is really good as well. And it's just, they're evolving and developing so quickly in both, in the mediumship, in the psychic, and more importantly, in themselves. They're developing their own personal skills as well. So forgive me if I sound really excited, but I am really excited.
Oh, I have passion. I hear it. And I think I'm sure everybody else is too.
One thing that evolved into another thing that is now evolving into another thing.
There's a lady there called Hazel who's really in your corner. I mean, it's almost like you're in the boxing ring and she's your trainer and she's there at the end of the bell, and you can do the eyes up and sponge you down. I mean, she's there. She's in there fighting in your corner. I can read all the stuff that's coming through there. Good on you, Hazel.
Thank you, Hazel. And Hazel was another one because Hazel last week, she lives up in the mountains, and she said, Gail, I just can't, it's unfeasible. I cannot get to somewhere to get the ink. So we said, well, just try it with paper. And unfortunately, she couldn't make the class, but there was 4 or 5 of them, I think, that was working with slips of paper. Those little sticky things that you get on, they got them stuck all over the show with the numbers around the screen, looking at the pictures. And I don't know, it was just, if you have got the motivation, you've got the passion, and you've got that wanting to connect, then there's no limits. There really is no limits. And I think that is what the main thing is with all of us. I can look back through my life, and it has always been the boundaries you put on yourself. And that is either from your own self-belief or from what other people have said to you, either as a child or in adolescence. And I can remember some of the comments I got as a child was deplorable. You'll never make it. You're stupid. You're thick. You're oversized. You're this, you're that, and the other. And they really kind of gel with us. And this is what I love now. I mean, I'm 62, and for the first time in my life, it's really great when you say, you know what? I really don't care. I really don't care. It's taken me all this time to actually get to know me as the person that I am. And I actually like the person that I am. I ain't perfect. I'm far, far, far from perfect, and Phil will testify to that.
You speak English, it's all right.
But what I like to think is it's just a beautiful place to be now, where you've actually, for once, started to analyze some of them comments and to actually look at the people that was throwing them at you. And especially as a child, you know, people don't always understand how they are taken on, and it becomes a belief system because these are people that you respect. So this is what I love now with this development, because yes, we are developing our psychic, we are developing our mediumship, but more than anything, we're developing our own spirituality. And one of the things that Spirit gave to me was that when I first started this is, Gail, you've got to learn to love yourself. And I thought, my goodness, that's egotistical. Poof, you know, I was always told that is vanity. And that guy said to me, Gail, listen, when we say yourself, that is your spirit. You need to understand your spirit, your soul. That is the S. And then the E of self is the energy, this phenomenal energy that your body is creating 24/7. But most times through anxiety, fear, worry, whatever, our brains is churning it quicker than what we can produce it. And that is what causes burnout, it's what causes mental fatigue, and it's what causes an awful lot of physical problems. So it was understand this energy, understand what it is, how to build it, how to sit in it, how to control it. And the L of self is life. This life is for living. This life is for you to explore yourself, to know who you are, to try and find within yourself that spirit, and to have the energy to actually live a life. And the F is for fullness, to be fulfilled, to have a fulfilling life. And that fulfillment is, if you can, give it while you're giving something to others, because life is breath. We can live nearly 3 weeks without food. We can live 3 days without water. We cannot live, not in a productive life, more than 3 or 4 minutes without breath. So begin to think about that. And it is that breath. It is taking a moment for that breath. And it's that breath that is all about the energy. And if we can control that and we can control our breath, then we can begin to have a look at our anxieties. We can begin to look, which was my big one for years, at the anger or the temper, because you're so sensitive inside, or you're so full of self-doubt that it only takes the person to look at you in the wrong way or to say the wrong word and woof, you're there. So you're reacting all the time in the wrong way. And then that just self-perpetuates that problem of self-dislike. So that was what my guide said to me, was if you can learn to love and respect self, then you will have a very full, a very energized, a very fulfilling life as a spirit within a human body. And if you can find that spirituality and you can find that strength within yourself, then you, your life, your family, this world will be such a much better place to live.
Yeah, you had a throwaway line there. I don't know if people picked up on the fact that you worked in the prison service.
Mm.
Yeah, and some years, yeah?
Yeah, just 23 years, I think.
I mean, so I'm just backing up here. So you had this time in the prison service, and yet you just mentioned about being comfortable in your own skin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you had to play a role of guardian, if anything, in the prison service. I don't know if that's the guardian of the prisoners or the guardian of the people living outside the prison walls. There's a bit of a duality here.
It's both, and I often have a giggle about that because I know when I was younger, as I said to you before, I could be angry, I could fly out, and I left home when I was 15. First time, I just ran away from home. That was it. And I've got a beautiful home, a beautiful background, a very, very, very loving family. And my mom, she was tormented by it. She said, why, Gail? What have we done? Where have you gone? Why are you doing that? And I couldn't answer her at that time. And it wasn't until many, many years later I realized I wasn't running away from anything. I was actually running to try and find who and what I was. And during that period, my gran, I used to absolutely love her. She was a step gran Maggie. She was my mentor. She was my guardian. It didn't matter where I was or what time of the night or whenever it was I used to turn up on Mac's doorstep. She was just totally non-judgmental. She was always there. And she still say, oh, gosh, Gail, one of these days, she says, I'm fit to death. You're going to get in with the wrong crowd or you're going to do the wrong thing. And I remember
you got in with the wrong crowd, didn't you?
I remember
23 years of it.
And I was so proud. And I phoned my gran up and I said, Maggie, I've got in. I'm really so proud. And she went, oh, thank God for that, Gail. So I said, what? She said, I always had this fear. I had this premonition that you'd end up in prison one day. She said, I just wasn't too sure what side of the bed you'd be on. So thinking. And I think it's something that you go in there with as well, or certainly I did, is very often it's there by the grace of. And when people say I never would or never could, I always say, you never know. You never, ever know. You don't know what we would do or what we're capable of in given circumstances. And I do truly believe there's the good, the bad, and the ugly in every single one of us. And at different times, different things are displayed. So I always thanked God that I was blessed and that I was looked after. And I was. And again, I could tell you many, many stories about that. So the one thing I did know when I went in the prison service is I was paid an awful lot less than what the judges was. So the judges are there to judge them. The jury is there to say whether they are or they are not. That has nothing to do with me. And it was all a case of when they was in there, at the end of the day, I'm there to do a job and they're there because they have to be. So if you can have a good working relationship there and you can have a mutual respect for the given roles, then that put me in good stead. And I worked in some of the most notorious prisons in Europe, and most of it was in the male estate. I did an awful lot of the dispersal prisons. I worked with a massive category of different prisoners. And I also worked in 2 female estates. And I've got to say my hat goes out to my colleagues that are there now during this pandemic, because I know we hear an awful lot about the hospitals and the teachers and the nurses and everything else. But these people are having to go in there every day to ensure that people are safe, that they are there, that they are governing. So to all you prisoners officers out there, kudos. My heart and my thoughts and my prayers are with you. I met and worked with an awful lot of people. I was a LIFO manager for quite a long time. I was at Style when they first come in with the first key drug workers. I was at Long Larton when they first started to have psychologists come in, and we was doing the cognitive courses with them to actually address their offending behaviour. For me, I went in at the right time. I went in at the time when it wasn't all about punishment, it was about reforming. But it's like anything else, things go like a pendulum, and I've been out of that now for 12 years. I have to say, I won't particularly want to go back again. I'm really happy where I am now in my life because we're changing, we're evolving all the time. But I do have to say, hand on heart, I did truly enjoy my service in there. I really did. And I'd like to think I learned an awful lot there, and hopefully you was in a position to help others at their very vulnerable times. Because again, I couldn't tell you how many times myself and my colleagues have sat with people just with a prayer, just to keep them alive, just to keep them safe till the morning, till somebody else can come in or their thought processes can change. And that is something we have to look at, because mental health and suicide is a massive thing worldwide. It's not just within the prison service, it's out here as well in our everyday. And my thoughts and my prayers go out to these people that are on their own, truly isolated, where they haven't got that connection at the minute, physical connection or even any kind of connection outside. So if we can't do anything else today, please have that thought there, that I am making those phone calls by putting those spiritual comments onto places like Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And in whatever way that we can support these people that are on their own at this time, in very, very vulnerable people, both physically and mentally ill. And that is what we start every class off with. Is some people will call it a prayer, other people will call it an affirmation, but it's a coming together of like-minded souls to build our own power, to build our own love, and to send that energy out to these people that need it at this time. And it's the relatives as well of those that are in hospital and those that have died recently. It's horrendous that they've not been able to be there with them. And it's just thinking about that. And those thoughts go out. And this is where this mediumship, this is where that spiritual connection comes out, in sending out that love, in sending out that energy, in sending out that hope.
I just want to drop in there. I just want to speak about the fact that your intuition and your awareness, or your clear aspects of being a medium and working in that environment, you consider that that would probably be one of the toughest environments to be a person who's so sensitive to go and work in. Particularly, I think there's a throwaway line. Were you ever worried about working in the prison? And I think your throwaway line was, no, not a problem. It's only the ones who haven't been caught. That's the issue. So that throwaway line also reminded me of discussing the fact that here you are, a really, really sensitive, intuitive woman who's working in this environment. Were you, in a sense, a very open prison officer, in the sense that, your heart went out to all these different people, or did you sort of back off and sort of do it in etheric shell or something, or some sort of prayer or some sort of protection that you put in place so that you could work in that environment? I mean, I think most people be listening here would say, if she's been in that environment and she's running classes, man, she really knows how to set up the protection networks here. Yeah.
It's a good question. And I'm just thinking back, really, because what we've got to remember is, as individuals, there's many facets of our personality. And that is part of my personality. It's very much the spiritual part, the psychic part, the intuitive part, the mediumship part. But another part of my personality is I'm quite disciplined. I have quite strong moral of right or wrong, or black and white, or whatever grey areas in between. And I was lucky when I went in the prison service, because I think I was 32 when I went in there, 32. And at that time, I've got 3 children. And as I said to you, I'd had a very diverse life. I was brought up in pubs. I left home at 15. I used to work on a fairground, building up and pulling down big wheels. I worked over in Jersey. I used to pick daffodils. I've worked in more factories than you could care to shake a thumb at. And I'd worked for a long time as well as a collector, a credit collector. And in that, I used to go around to people's houses and, collect the money and take the whatever goods it was that they was buying that week or whatever. So I'd had a very, very diverse background. And most of my family as well, where the pubs was, there wasn't always the most affluent of places. So we was lucky. We'd always got a bathroom. We'd always got central heating. But most of the children where I was brought up hadn't got that. There was very much living in the tenement. So you wasn't clouded in any way. You'd seen life. You'd kind of been out there, and you'd seen it from both sides. So going in there on a spiritual side, yes, there's that massive part of it. But there's that other part of it as well, of your own life experiences and your own sense of morality, or right or wrong. And they do excellent training as well, which helps you. And it kind of helps you to look that in a lot of these situations, there isn't a definitive. Sometimes you have to work on your wits. Sometimes it is a unique series. So it is that ability as well to be able to communicate with people. And the part of communicating with people is actually listening to people. And that was my main thing there. I was known as being very firm, but very fair. And one of my rules of thumb was, if you like, when people are really upset and irate and when they're frazzled, the first thing they tend to do is shout, and I do. But the problem when we're shouting, nobody hears us. They can't actually hear what they're saying, and they just back away from the anger. So that was my main thing there, is that people were shouting, whoa. If you want me to listen and you want me to understand, then we've really got to pull that down. And it is that thing of a mutual respect. If I talk to them with respect, then you tended to get that respect back. And the big thing I found there was being able to justify things. There is nothing worse than when you can see that something isn't justifiable. There is nothing worse when you're seeing discrimination of any kind. So that was my main thing there, was always being able to justify any decision that you'd made, and to be able to tell them on what basis that was made. And the different things that they was bringing in there as well, with the cognitive behaviors and the backup systems that was in there. So in answer to your question, the sensitive part was one side of it, and that would open up as and when required. Again, there's so many stories I could tell you about that. But on the other side, it was this common sense approach. It was this your own life experience. And it was also that training and that being able to integrate, to be able to communicate. So it was a wide spectrum of different skills that was coming in there all the time. And where that sensitivity does come is when you're walking in there, and most days, it's really loud, it's really drummy. But some days you'd walk in there, it'd be really quiet, and you literally feel the hairs on the back of your neck go up.
Yeah.
And you kind of go in there and you think, whoa, there's something just not quite right. So yes, as a sensitive, you might feel it more, but other people was aware as well. And I think this is sometimes what we don't always look at, that I'm open about my sensitivity and my psychic and mediumship, although I wasn't so much then. But other people, they're not always aware of how they get these calling signs, how we get these warning signs, how all the time we're picking up information all around us all the time with all the different senses. But most of us cut that out, they block it. We just go on what we can see or what we can hear. And they're the easiest ways to be fooled. But when you actually just stop for a moment and just allow yourself, then you can sense the atmosphere, you can sense the energy. You very quickly then, it helps you to govern how you're going to react. So I think that's about the best way I can answer that for you, Jeff. That, yeah, at times it was your sensitivity that had helped you with your work, depending what the situation was. And other times it was having to push that sensitivity to the background and come in more with your life experience or these things of the rules, the regulations, the understanding of it and where you can justify. And that comes back a little bit with mediumship as well. There's a lot of things that govern. You've got legal things that govern there, that we come under that remit. I mean, it isn't so long ago that there was the Fraudulent Mediums Act. That has now come under Customs and Customer Rights. Before that, you look at that and it was the Witchcraft Act. A lot of people don't realise that. I mean, that was Ellen Duncan and that was in the 1950s, the last person that was tried in the UK as a witch. So it's changing all the time. So there are legalities that govern mediumship as well. And you have to look at that because it's like any other service that you're putting out there. It has legislation and you've got guidelines that you have to come within. And that is one of the guidelines here, like today. If you're coming on and you're going to give readings or whatever, there has to be some kind of a governing rule over that. So, yeah. So, to say, I was lucky, and you used many different facets of my personality and many different skill bases on a daily basis.
So, the most amazing thing now is that you're not doing the physical classes and doing the actual the physical demonstrations in clairvoyance. So normally you would do your your body would be and your whole psyche would be so have that place of knowing. Now it's using this vehicle of in this case here, the internet. Are you finding it's pushed your boundaries to the point that you can now go to a person with their permission who's got hold of you for an assessment? Is that a consultation? Here we go. Private consultation, spiritual assessments, energy healing, all these type of things you're doing remotely, and you've always done it, but now we've got this virus thing where everybody's now working from a computer screen. You've been pushed boundaries to do this.
How life works, because the first time I come over to Australia to work, say it was a massive newbie for me. You're going to the other side of the world, and most of the readings there was face to face, and most of the work was face to face. But when we come back the following year, and people have got to know you more and everything else, we found then that a lot of the readings I was doing from Brisbane was for people in Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, that was coming in on the Zoom. And we kind of sat there and go, wow, this is really quite weird. You'd expect that when you go back. And the third year come even more so. And that kind of trended coming over back home, if you like, because up until that point, I would say 90% of my readings was face-to-face, maybe about 8, 9, 10% was on either phone or via Skype or different media. But from that point, it kind of turned around. So for the last 3 years, it's reversed. I'd say 90% of my readings now are done online. And I do readings for people all over the world, which I absolutely love. And there's very few that I actually do face-to-face. In fact, the majority of what I do face-to-face now is when I go to different churches and you're working there for the weekend, i.e. when I go to Paynton, you're doing all weekend there, then you'll do a day of readings. Or when I go to other places, Stourbridge is the same. You go there for the weekend and then you'll do a day of readings. So the majority of the face-to-face I do now tends to be at churches or centres or organised events. We have this built in the back here to enable me to do one-to-one readings at home. And it's not evolved that way. So it's evolved now where it's becoming more like a studio or a place where I run small, more intimate workshops. So it's changed. But when it comes to teaching online, you know, I kind of thought, my goodness, I go over to South Island and a very good friend of mine there, Marlene, that runs the Angel Shop. She said to me 3 years ago, Gail, you need to take a video. You need to make a video because I need to put it out so people know you. There was no way I could sit in front of a camera. There was no way on this goodness I could video myself. That was just not going to happen. So the first year I went, didn't happen. Second year, she said, Gail, you've really got to send me a video. And again, no. So what did she do? She collared me. I'd gone there to do the readings, and she'd come up one day with her phone. She said, okay, now Gail, now we're going to do that interview. Now we're going to do that thing. And I was like that. But it just developed, and it went, and she was such a calming voice, and she's such a beautiful person that you just felt so much at ease with her. And that was the first time ever, and that one's still on my Facebook now, and I'm just looking at the cardigan and the dress. Actually, I think I had the same one on or similar. There's a novelty. But that was where it evolved. And even then, I was still very hesitant. And then when it come up this to start doing the classes, it was, in a way, it was quite nerve-wracking if I would have allowed it to be. But then I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know, we've just got to go with this. It was the tech side of it that caused me more problems than anything. But if somebody would have said to me 12 months ago that I'd be sat on here now doing a live radio with you, nah, I think I would have told them that they was delusional. It was ever going to happen. And yet, here I am. So it does evolve, and it's just getting used to the new technology. It's getting used to the new way of doing things. And I find now when I'm doing my readings, majority are done by a video. It's amazing how you can connect in with that person. It is amazing that connection that you can get. And that made me begin to think about the mechanic, because we've always said with mediumship and psychic, it is this connecting of energy. And how does it work? And for me, it's even more phenomenal now, because we kind of think, well, how is that possible? We could say the same thing. If 100 years ago, somebody would have said that you're going to pick up a little square plastic box and you're going to be able to press numbers and you're going to be able to talk to anybody in real time, anywhere in the world, they would have had you behind those bars. You would have been a heretic, you would have been this, you would have been that, you would have been the other. But then technology caught up. And then not only can we just do that and talk, we can do that and actually interact face to face. That's where most of our news broadcasts go. And what that is working on is the wavelengths. And it's all about having a transmitter and having a receiver and having some kind of compressors and different things in between. We'll begin to look at the human brain. That is the most phenomenal receiver and receptor than ever. So you begin to look at that, and then you begin to say, well, these are the same things that you're connecting in with. It just makes a difference. Where you've got a radio mask as a receiver, we are using that energy as that receiver. As you're using that to press it out, we're using the same thing to put it out there. So it's interesting, and it certainly made me even look at it more closely. And again, this is where I could get really excited, where I could get really passionate, because then you begin to think, wow, then just where can that go? Just what kind of connections can we have there in communications?
It's very easy to see how humans have shown some skills in this area, or intuition in that, and they've been dumbed down and ridiculed, and yet we've just had a series on SBS called Project Blue Book, which goes back into the 50s and 60s with Professor Hynek, and it's flushing out all the stuff that the CIA was doing in terms of remote viewing and all the clandestine things that they were operating in. I mean, they're certainly, well, we look at it now, they're certainly good 70 years down the track and got their own little sci-fi bloody force, haven't they? You know, you would think. That
was class 3 on our mediumship, remote viewing. Looking at the background of that, and all there was such a lot of money put into it. And it's quite interesting, actually, because I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's like anything else. There was a lot of controversy there and cloak and dagger stuff. But it was really quite amazing because the biggest amount of money was put in by the CIA that actually wanted to disprove it. The last thing they wanted to do was it actually to be confirmed. So that was interesting how that has changed around. But yeah, it's always been there. You go back to Aborigine, and there they used to have, the communication lines where they would just head right across that. They very quickly realised that these communication lines are there. It's within the hemisphere. And all we've done over the years is began to put science to it and just use different receivers and condensers.
Well, the whales, I mean, that's very important. The whales, where they can use the water element to sing their song, and at the end of the 12 months, or their supposed 12 months, they drop off the first notes and they put up a new tone at the very end of their song, so it keeps recycling through. It's really
reverberating right the way around all the oceans. And I think it, for me anyway, it is wonderful, that science is now beginning to look at different things. And it's this thing of meditation. I mean, people have said over meditation for many, many years. And we was only reading something this morning of the different experiments now that's going in that when people meditate, it doesn't just change their breathing, it can change their blood pressure, it can change their circulation, it can make different enzymes in their bodies to change. So they're very much looking at that now as a healing process in the meditation. And I think it was Clancy, again, this come up on one of the sessions. He put out there that he said, it is through prayer that we can talk to God, but it is through meditation that he can speak to us. And that for me was very profound. It was only the other week I found that when I was doing the class on it. And I thought, wow. And he was a devout Christian, but he was one of the forerunners, if you like, of looking at spiritual well-being and the connection between the diet and the thought processes and integrating meditation into our lives, how it really does change the thought processes. And I find it exciting now, and I really find it hopeful, inspiring, that they're beginning now to look at that in the schools, and they have done in the Eastern Bloc for years. They've had meditations in their schools. That's been part of their day, the Tai Chi in the mornings. They very much looked at that and said, if you want a healthy workforce, then to keep them healthy physically, you have to keep them healthy mentally. And that is through this meditation. And when it comes to spiritual development and developing your psychic and mediumistic senses, then those that have ever sat with me in teaching, they will know that 90% of that is in the meditation. By opening up to allow your thought processes literally to go out the box, to go out of the skull, to go out of your confines and to really begin to expand, to begin to look at the philosophy of things, to be able to question things, to be able to take that thinking further and further out. And there's another big thing there of spiritualism. It's not just about the messages. It's very much a 3-tier here. It is very much about the philosophy of it. It's very much about the religion of it. It's very much about the evidence part of it, and it's the scientific part of it as well. So there's a lot of scientific investigations being done now. So yeah, it is a changing of the times, I think, and I don't feel it's ever going to be the same again. It really isn't. And the way people communicate now, people have changed. You've got people that have never ever been on the internet before. And I'm loving it that they're giving out their iPads and they're giving out computers to people that are isolated and alone. And that was in the hospitals. That was the only way that they could communicate with their loved one. So people are becoming more comfortable with it. And I think the more comfortable we become with that, the more we begin to look at the mechanics of how it works. And then we can begin to look at the mechanics of how our mediumship and psychic work. And we can then begin to make our own assessments on that.
So, I think you've mentioned most people feel it's just clairvoyance or clairsentience, but there's quite a number of these clairs, isn't there?
There is. That's one thing I want to clear up is clair literally means clear. It's just a posh way of saying it. I think it sounds so much nicer in the French version of clair. So the clairvoyance is clairseeing. And most people have heard at some point in their lives of clairvoyance, but they're not always too gelled up, if you like, of what it is. But clairvoyance is clear seeing. But then you have clairaudience, and that is clear hearing. You've then got clairsentient, clear smelling, clairglutant, clear tasting, clear sensience is sensing it with your whole body. And then they go to the clear knowing and the clear cognitions, which is basically clear thinking or a piece of information coming into your mind. And this is where remote viewing can come in as well, of a place that you've never been. And you can see it very, very clearly. You can walk around that place very, very clearly. So that is very much what it's about. It is looking not just at the one sense, but looking at all our senses. And what I find that as well, that kind of reverberates back into our life. Because a lot of us, we've got this thing of, if I don't see it, I don't believe it. And yet what we actually see is the easiest one of our senses to fool. You've only got to look at trick photography. You've only got to look at magicians to see that the eye is very, very easy to fool. But going back to my gran again here, when he was younger and it was relationships and what have you, my gran used to always say to me, if you ever truly want to see somebody, Gail, close your eyes. Close your eyes and just sense them. Just hear them. Just feel them. Just sense them. That way, you've got a far better chance of actually getting to know the essence of that person. You've got a far better chance of being able to understand that person and know what they're like against you. Whether it is good or bad, because you can sense that. Whereas we will kid ourselves with our eyes. And that's one thing I found through my life, and was talking about this only the other week in class, how our senses all the time, they're there to guard us, to protect us. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but there's very few people I've actually met in my life and I've gone, don't know what it is about them, but I feel really, really uncomfortable. But then I'll take a breath and I think, come on, Cal, be spiritual, be nice, whatever. So I'll overcome that and then kind of just carry on. I can tell you now, it's not very often, but on those occasions where people have really turned sour on you or turned out to be not a friend at all, but somebody that is just either out to destroy you or hurt you, I can tell you now, 100% of the time, it's been those that you had that feeling about first on. So I would say, okay, you might not have to judge them by it. It doesn't particularly mean that, but just be wary of it. Just put it there on the black burner and allow yourself to be proved wrong. In the fact that they are nice people rather than the opposite. Allow yourself that you should have listened to that in the first place when it's too late and you're badly hurt.
And mind you, people who've got dogs have that benefit of the dog picking up and sensing them in.
Very true. Dogs are brilliant. There's many a time you've met somebody and the dog's going, you can see the eccles on its back going up and you're thinking, what's up with you? It's only such a body from down the road.
Yeah.
But they're very good at sensing, and so are we. Where those heckles go up, that's the same as the hairs in the back of our necks going up. We've got exactly the same sensory. Okay, our smell and what have you is not to theirs. It's all slightly different. Our eyes are different. But they use their senses. They're far more aware of their senses than what we are. Because literally, our heckles go up as well. But we've just got a habit of going, get over it, ignore it. Just sometimes just take note of it.
Mind you, the cats sort of just give you the royal finger, don't they? They don't give two hoots. But
yeah.
Hey, it was a good question there. It just slipped my mind there. You're offside, Alison wants to know what time it's going to finish. I said, when she runs out of steam. She said, never going to happen. So,
we're going to have to put a block on that one at some point.
No, it's just that it's such heartfelt and there's passion, and those people who are actually listening and tuning in and will watching the show later on will get that presence coming through. Now, I just want to come back. There's £30 for 1 calendar month. You can do the Wednesday and the Friday. So if you are in Australia, it's 7:30 on the coast here in normal everyday time cycle, not daylight saving, just normal time cycle, 7:30 Wednesday and Friday night. And of course, those viewers who are actually coming through on your Facebook site in the UK, that would be 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday and Friday morning. So £30 for those in the UK, that would be about 60 Australian dollars here in Australia. So moving that money from Australia to you in the UK, how does one go ahead and do that?
Okay. On my website, you can go on there and it'll give you the information, a little bit more information there about the classes. And at the bottom of it is to subscribe. And you can either subscribe just for the mediumship, which is £20 or $40 a month. That'll give you 4 classes. Or you can subscribe just for the psychic, and that's the same. It is the 4 classes, 1 a week for the month. Or the best value is to subscribe to both. That's 30 UK pound. It's roughly 60 Australian dollars. And for that, you get the 8 classes. Now, if you can come to the classes live, even better. We're normally averaging at the minute about 19, 20 live. So it's brilliant. And we have the opportunity there as well to do a little bit of group work. And I bob into as many sessions as I can just to observe them work and give a little bit of feedback. But if you can't get to the live sessions, that's not a problem, because I get them up there on my site as quick as I can. It's normally 3-4 hours by the time I wait for it to download and edit it and everything else. But when that goes on for this week, then what happens is the class for last week goes on the page behind it. So you've always got this week's class there for a full week. You can watch it as many times as you like, or you can watch it in bits and pieces. But you've also got the class there from the week before. So at the minute, there's 4 classes there on my site. There's the 2 psychic and mediumship from last week and the 2 from the week before that. The other thing that I do as well is in each class, I do a meditation. And that meditation, I actually tape. And then I put it to music, and then I put it out there free for everybody. They're going out there on Facebook and YouTube free. If you ever want to see all of them, they're on my website as well. There's a page there for free meditations. And that is where they're coming from on the back of the mediumistic development classes. So when you look at that, that is £30, $60 for 8 classes. I worked it out this morning. It's just under £3.50 a class. And the classes are about an hour and a half, an hour and a quarter. Add on top of that, that you've got that for a full week. So there's phenomenal resource there. You've got the meditations there as well. And then in addition to that, you've got these 2 support pages. And we encourage you all the time to go on these support pages, to buddy up with each other, to have readings together. Alison and I, we're on there most days where we're observing or interacting or giving feedback. If somebody's stuck, they've not got anybody, Alison, bless her, she's got this list of where they all are from all over the world. And then she'll put that extra thing in there to put people together. But we're finding week on, week out, as new people are coming in, then they're embracing them. They're saying to them, oh, come on, you can work with me, or you can work with that, or you can work with the other. And there's none of this thing either. That's what I say to everybody. There's nobody better than anybody. We're all there doing our best. And I love teaching beginners because I love it, because I learn far more, because there's so much you forgot. And when I see the excitement on their face and I see that first thing on that, it reminds me, and that gives me that passion. So we've got some on there that are complete newbies, never done anything before, and we're watching them evolve every week. We've also got others on there that are tutors themselves. I've been doing it for years, and I take that as a great accolade. They're actually coming to the classes. So you've got a really wide remit of people there. So just think about the value of that. It is £30 for all 8 classes, plus the resource on my webpage, plus that interaction with them groups. So I used to pay, when I first started in the churches, it used to cost me then £3.50, £4, £5. Just go and sit in the church for an hour and a half, and I might work for 5 minutes. Phenomenal development churches, but then I'd have to drive there. Sometimes I'd have to pay for car parks, then you'd have to drive. Sure. I talked to Alison. Sometimes she's had to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to a circle. So she's having to leave home at 5 o'clock to get to a circle at 7:30, to get home for 12 o'clock at night. So that is another thing that we're looking at starting, because there's people beginning to ask us now that they'd like more of the group work. They'd prefer to sit in a circle. So it'll probably be next month. But if you're interested, let us know. Personal message us, because we need that interest before we start it up. But we are looking now to start that up like a circle format, where we'll do that. I'm not too sure yet what the duration of them will be, whether it'll be weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Really does depend on the interest that is there. The other thing we're working on as well is to do workshops. So maybe every month or every 2 months or 3 months, again, it's very much a work in process. We'll be putting workshops out there. So for the people that don't particularly want to do the every week, offer them as well. You can come on and do a full day workshop, or a series of workshops that I'll collect together for a course. So we're taking baby steps at the minute. It's evolving all the time. And one question that got asked the other day, just twit there in the back of my head, well, what about this first month? How do I go with that? What we're going to do is we're going to wait till we're 3 months in, and then I will roll out like a secondary educational program there, where they won't be going out live, but they will be going out where they're recorded. So you can still have them. They'll come out to you weekly. I've got to link in with Jeff and a few more other people that know a lot more about tech than I do as to how that can be done. But it is evolving. But come and join us, please.
Well, Kimmy, who's a lady from the UK, lives in Brisbane, has asked you, Gail, have you found any difference in the teaching online as opposed to face-to-face groups? I think you've touched on it slightly in the sense of doing personal assessments and private consultations, and you've touched on it class.
So far is if I go and do a 1.5 hour class or a circle, it's very much like a tutorial. You're going in there and you might be giving 10, 15 minutes of knowledge, and then you're showing somebody how to do something. And then for the next hour, they're doing it. What you find online is you can't run that same format because when people are coming in that haven't had the benefit of sitting there and sitting in that group. So I found that I've had to put a lot more content in there. I've had to look at different ways as well to kind of break it up where people are not just listening to me for an hour and a half. So we put in that now to say we've got the meditation, which is always on the theme of what that class is that day. There are times I put PowerPoint presentations on there. We run that like a video, which is like 10, 12 minutes with a lot of information on there. So people can stop and start that and stop and start it and rerun it as many times as they want during that week afterwards. The other thing I find there as well is I'm very aware that you haven't got the same opportunity. When you can sit around a classroom, you can very well pick up on the ones that are comfortable or not comfortable, the ones that are, they're really with you or maybe 2 steps ahead of you, but somebody else is struggling. So it's a lot harder to gauge that. So that is why I've started to go into the classrooms. We do the group rooms there. So I've started to bob into them, and that's given me a better opportunity to observe and to see and to give that little bit of encouragement. And where this has come about as well is we've now got what we haven't got in them circles. This is where it comes on the positive side. That if you go to a circle, you've only got that hour and a half, 2 hours, and you're coming away and you might not have another spiritual word all week. You might not have the opportunity to discuss with anybody what you saw or what you felt or what you achieved. Now, with the pages, they have. So it's been a massive learning curve. It really has. Very different, very, very different. It's been educational for me because you've had to look at things in a different way. As a tutor, I've really had to think on my feet of how you can get this across. It wasn't so much getting the information out. That is something I'm used to. But as I said before, you've always had the opportunity of being able to observe the class. You can link in with them, you can feel them, you can go around them and physically give that encouragement, or you can send that energy there, or I can best mentor who they're going to sit with or have more hands-on. So this way you've not got that. So you're very much going on this trust here. And this is what I'm loving with the students. And this is where it's coming back because they're kind of stepping in that role somehow. They are so supportive of one another when they're working with. It is brilliant. And on the rare occasion, and it's only happened once so far, that they really stuck or a loggerhead because they can't go, they have that call button, which I didn't even know they had on there until it come up on my screen to say somebody needs help. And I go, oh, that's like an alarm bell. That sends me back to my prison days. But you was able to go in there and say, well, what is the problem? Brilliant, not a problem. Let's just take you back to this. Let's do this. And you could spend that 5-10 minutes with them to help them. So there's pros and cons on both sides. But I have to say, I've surprised myself with how much I'm enjoying it. And it's surprised me how much they are supporting one another. And I think the majority of time, if you watch people in a circle, in a group, they have that beautiful connection that begins to bolt them together. And they almost don't want to go away at the end of the night. Sometimes you're having to really nushle them out the door there because they know once they get in that car, it's kind of all gone. When they go home, they've not got that. So it's kind of beautiful on that side of it that they have. Some come straight out of class and go straight on to do the lessons. You've got others like Hazel that works shift work, so she's very much having to drip feed sometimes and watch it in bits and bats. But her feedback is beautiful and she gets on there and she works and it's nice to say. So I hope that's answered that question for you. And maybe
I'm sure Kim is a quick one to respond there. So right then, so we run out of steam.
Okay.
on
down my list here to see if there was anything there. On the topics that we cover, I'll just very quickly touch on that. I've already said with the psychic, first month it was very much about the chakras, the auras, the auragrams, the energy that we work in. And with the mediumship, it was very much on that as well. Looking on the clairs that we use, how we can invoke these, how we can develop these. And then we looked at remote viewing, and we also looked there at being able to blend with a communicator and to begin to put the forefront of a message across there, because it's got to have like a beginning, a middle, and an end to get some kind of format. So this month on the psychic, we're very much looking at angel card readings on the psychic group. And what we're looking at on the mediumship group is now beginning to take it to the next step, is when you're looking at evidence, you know, it isn't just what we just see. So it's really pushing them out of their comfort zone, if you like, to make that closer connection. And I put a meditation out onto Facebook. It's on YouTube, called Oneness with Spirit. That for me is one I've really held on to until this particular point in their development. It's what I call a foundation stone of development. So if you've not listened to it and you are interested, please go and listen to it. But this is very much about building that energy, building that power that we work within, and then making that connection with our guides. And it is that connection with our guides, it's that relationship with our guides that we really have to work on and build on. So that is what we're doing this month. With the psychic, next month we'll be moving on again, and we've got so many areas there that I can look at. You know, you've got tarot card reading, you've got palmistry reading, you've got all kinds of different center points there. There's looking at color, the therapy of color. So each month we'll be looking at like a different topic on that. And with the mediumship development, that is just going to keep on evolving there. So when we first started, we said it was very much going to be ongoing, but I think the way it's looking now, this will probably go on for 5 or 6 months. And then that will start again at some point for people that are coming in, and they can jump on that at any point. That's the wonderful thing about it. And then we'll take this group up to the next level. And then we'll begin to look at that and see how that is going to work on the frequency of it, on the durability of it. And this is where the workshops come in as well, and the courses come in. So it's continual development. So yeah, the topics that we cover, they're wide and varied, and it's just continual development all the time.
Okay, fantastic, mate. So it's almost like School of the Air, you know, here in Australia, in the remote communities, they would go on and turn on their radio sets and shortwave and listen to the School of the Air coming out of Adelaide or coming out of Brisbane. So the same game plan, just different technology, isn't it? So
yeah, it's quite exciting because going back to what Kim said, that you're quite restricted really in the physical sense. At the end of the day, you can only be in one place at one time. And I've loved the last 5 years with the commuting and the traveling. But each year you're getting asked to go to different places, and you're looking at these. And we got to a stage, was it last year, year before, we was, you know, you're thinking, my golly, if you was to pick up everything here, I'd be out the country for like 42 weeks of the year. I haven't got the health to do that apart from anything else. I really haven't. And the other thing is we've got a family and we've got a life. So it was always trying to find that balance. And I will always come over to Australia for as long as I can and as long as Jeff allows us, because we love it over there. And we've met some beautiful, beautiful people over there and friends. So it will be one port of call that we're always hoping to go to that. And it's the same with Germany. You know, I've been over there at Eva's in Berlin now for quite a few years. And you build a good rapport with these people. But then it's the other ones. It's not cherry picking. It's kind of looking at it and saying, where can we have the best impact, and where is there a nucleus of people that actually justifies the going there and the cost and the time and everything. But where this is wonderful, I don't know how many countries we are in the minute, but I know when we do our classes, I'm thinking, wow, I'm in Australia, I'm in Melbourne, I'm in Sydney, I'm in Brisbane, I'm up there in the Blue Mountains, I'm over in Sweden, I'm over there in Belgium, I'm at all parts here in the United Kingdom, and I'm in Singapore as well. So it kind of opens that up, because you've got all that you can get to while you're in this one moment of time and space.
100%, yeah, it's like a global bloody school, isn't it?
I do have to mention here, and this is something to my detriment, if you like. The only language I speak is English, and some would argue about that I don't speak that particularly well either. But that is the only language I can put it out in. However, if you've got people out there that don't speak English as their first language, we've already got quite a few on there, but to be fair to them, they can speak English. It takes them longer sometimes to worry over what I'm saying. But if you've got a translator or whatever, come and join us, you know. But that is the only holdback I've got at the minute. It is the only language. And I should be totally embarrassed about that, because I have two beautiful German granddaughters that I have this duality of language. So maybe one day, but I'm still struggling to do the English, if I'm honest. But there we go.
Hey, Kim said thank you very much for your informative call, and so too is Katrina. We'll see later on. And all the way from New Zealand is a lady called Davina Tap. So she sends out a big cheerio. So there you go. It happened. 8, 9, 10, 20.
I've been in New Zealand before, so you can put that down as a first. I might only be there by airwaves, but I'm there. I'm in New Zealand. So that's
Well, welcome to. Okay, so our mate Monica, she's currently in lockdown in Victoria, I suppose, country community called Hay. I see there's a lady, Aud. Is she from Norway?
Yeah.
Never
been to Norway either, Aud. Yes, it's Irene. Yeah. Okay. She's one of our ladies on the classes. She's lovely.
Adele Drury.
Yeah, she's one of the ladies.
Okay, cool. It's all getting there.
Yeah, we've got customers are there. Well, thanks for your support, girls.
Okay, so we're all good. So it's just a case of they can come through to this site here that's just coming up, Facebook, Gail's Guiding Connections. Or if you're not there, you can go to this one here, gailriding.com. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. Gail, for sharing your passion. It's been bloody brilliant.
Okay, then. Bye.
Right. Love your work.
Thank you. Bye.
I have said there's 2 comments there. Hang on, let's see who they are first before we go. Jenny Mitchell, thank you, Jenny. Oh, they love you, Jenny. Thank you very much. And Aud, yes, I'm from Norway. Yeah. So there you go.
Hey.
Big cheerio. And Dal, yeah, hey, you're welcome. Thanks for the cheerio there. And you got some little hearts and butterflies from Aud, so all the way from Norway. There you go. So, Jenny Mitchell, fantastic. We'll have to have you on. We'll have to have you on next Monday. You can come and have a chat. That'd be great. That's a promise. All right. Love your work. Always.
Okay.
Hello to you, man.
I will. Okay. So bye-bye from me and bye-bye from him, as the Morecambe and Wise used to say.
Yeah. And thank you, Sally. Yeah, good on you, mate. She's from the UK. All right. Cheerio.
Cheerio.